It's kind of circus music, but so serious about it. Jump is a firework we've been blankly staring at for almost 3 years, just waiting for someone to set it off. We've watched the fuse be lit, snuffed out, lit again, snuffed, but now finally, the firework has gone off at exactly midnight, detonating in the center of the city with a loud boom to wake up everyone on the street. Get up, because very simply, it is time to Dioa. Why? That doesn't matter. If you've been living close enough to Blackpink, whether that be out of love, envy, or hatred, you are now commanded to jump. A pulsing beat that has every intention to drive its listener insane, thrashing around to the chirping brass in the chorus. Jump feels like I'm being forced to power walk at 4 a.m. The sky is barely lit without a sign of tomorrow's sun, and yet here Jisoo is yelling at me to pick up the pace. I feel crazy, but here I am, power walking with Jisoo in my tracksuit hours before the sunrise. Western-style guitar riffs, thumping hard-style bass kicks, rave synths? Why does this kind of work? Blackpink, who have historically been relegated to a very specific image and musical style, have dropped the floor underneath themselves. I would have never expected Western guitars, and especially not melded right on top of a European techno beat. Jump sources producers beyond what's typical for YG. Diplo, 24, Zeka, Ape Drums, Jessie Blue, and more take production to synthpop, then rave, and then rodeo. Where are we? Blackpink are no stranger to party beats, but we've always been at clubs where the lights are just bright enough to where you can't go too crazy on the dance floor. Somebody might be filming a TikTok, taking a picture for Instagram, you might be in the background, and so you have to save face just a little bit and keep your dancing composed. Debut to Born Pink has been more about picking the right outfit and treating the club as a social outing rather than a place where you could let all of your inhibitions go. No, for Jump, Blackpink has invited us to the most dimly lit boiler room in the midnight streets of Berlin. The lights are practically off in this warehouse. The strobe lights are certainly not going to help you find your way to the dance floor. You very well may trip on your way there, but the exhilaration of that mechanical drop is going to be so well worth it. Rosé and Jisoo command and anchor a genuinely dumbfounding, tangy Western guitar and wavering flute intro. We're definitely headed to a rodeo for some reason, and Rosé opens the song by coaxing us out onto the street, cowboy hats on, with a soulful and steady register. Jisoo, as always, backs her up with a bit of texture, switching a commanding presence for something a little bit more grounded. After all these years, there's a reason why these two are paired up in the vocal sections. Jisoo gives us a calming moment to focus in on her pointed tone before Jennie hops in, raising her voice back to that commanding presence as the oohing flutes raise us up with a static synth. That rolling snare starts to creep in. Lisa finishes the pre-chorus off by walking us up to the edge and pushing us onto this dystopian dance floor. This is actually no rodeo at all. I feel a bit awkward with my cowboy hat on, but you know what? The lights are off, nobody knows who I am here, I'm a cowboy for the night, and you better believe I will be jumping. You're not just listening to the members telling you to jump, you're in the middle of a surge of people, lights, and sound. The voices blend into a single collective whisper. Dioa. Defiant and ecstatic to finally be here again after 3 years. Each whisper is a sensory pulse of a heart that is beating way too fast. You ought to take a break, but can't find a break in the crowd, so you must keep jumping. The repetition doesn't just energize, it kind of hopes to hypnotize. Your feet barely get a moment to touch the ground. There's no resolution to the pseudo-cowboy Euro rave in sight. Just forward momentum and a promise that this moment is not stopping anytime soon. And then the second verse, the moment and single line where everything clicks for me. Are you not entertained? Asks Lisa. There's such a bite to her flow in this verse. She taunts the listener to catch up to her pace, slowing the song down to give you a moment to hear what she has to say. Jennie then loosens up the bite, delivering her verse with more of a sarcastic grin. That rolling synth is creeping back up again, but Jennie knows that you know what's coming, so the track pulls you to the edge and just waits. A moment of silence to hear your own heartbeat before again, Dioa. The real drop slams in again without much of a warning. They want to catch you slipping, and you're not exactly sure why. And of course, Blackpink does not betray the rule that every title track must have some kind of resounding final breakdown. The song leads you to believe that it's all over before coming back to remain another few kinetic and unfiltered pulses through your skull. And then it's done. Blackpink needed to really make sure you were shaken up before letting the crowd open back up to let you leave. The music video is doused in muted tones and grays. The members are the only ones in this post-apocalyptic cityscape who have any color left to bring to the people. Outside of maybe Stay, we've never really seen a Blackpink music video this desolate and dreary. Why? Simply, I think Blackpink alone has the potential to electrify the boringness of the society around them. We see them literally in the minds and mouths of the people going crazy in their presence. A not so subtle reminder of Blackpink's ubiquity and ability to send tremors throughout the industry and culture simply by just showing up and being there. But here is where the immersion starts to break. We need to look into the AI accusations. Substantial scenes in this music video are so obviously generated using machine learning models and beneath the work of CGI artists. Some people point out that the background buildings in a lot of the scenes are distorted. If it's not AI, an artist would have had to go out of their way to make the lines in the buildings inconsistent to emulate the appearance of AI-generated images of a cityscape. Others come to the defense of the video by saying that Blackpink filmed it in front of a green screen, which was never expanded upon exactly how a green screen cancels out the possibility that generative AI was used in post-production. If anything, AI is trained to work with green screens. The sentiment I've seen is, quote, people are so stupid, they don't know the difference between CGI and AI, and yet nobody is pointing out the idea that generative AI is trained to do CGI work. Computer-generated imagery can be generated artificially using learning models, right? In the end, and as always when it comes to K-pop, neither side actually seems to care about the ethics of AI. It's really about Blackpink. If you like Blackpink, you must insist that Dave Meyers, God incarnate, would never sully his legacy by using generative AI. If you don't like Blackpink, AI was used and that's the end of the story. It's a flop. There's no space for AI haters who are also blinks like myself, which is kind of upsetting. I am willing to hold the space that maybe post-production CGI work was done by hand and intentionally designed the buildings in the background to appear as if they're smudged, to look AI generated. The space is there. I'm nothing if not annoying when it comes to nuanced perspectives. However, given the YG Collective, specifically the Black Label's track record, it is really a matter of guilty until proven innocent. All Day Project just debuted with a music video riddled with AI. Somi had AI in the teasers for her comeback. If the Black Label isn't above generative AI in art, I have a tough time thinking YG would staunchly draw the line against it. What's more is that these things may never be confirmed or denied, and intentionally so. So the sentiments surrounding the visuals in the music video can be worked with in some sense, but really, generative AI makes the path to true appreciation of the work kind of impossible. Mechanically, the fall from the more unreal and glamorous scenes of the previous music videos to a dystopian grayscape makes some kind of sense. Blackpink did not have to be here after all these years, and yet all four of them decided they wanted to try and make it happen, show up after these years to a barren and desolate soundscape to throw some color into the mix. Jump takes us in a new direction sonically and visually. They want to be outside where the people are, connect with and inspire the masses to jump in some kind of collective defiance of the muted world around them. Generative AI doesn't help this narrative at all. It's a part of what causes the world to feel so muted, as the work and integrity of other artists are stolen for the machines to learn from without their knowledge, enough to emulate and produce works of its own without any kind of credit given. Blackpink wanting to get out and inspire the world to jump in the backdrop of a truly unreal dystopian cityscape comes across as tone-deaf. Again, maybe we can hold the space that this was the intention. These scenes were handcrafted to emulate generative AI, but there's no message to it being hidden that I can pull from at face value. I also would imagine the artist would have been clearly credited for that kind of work in any case, if the intention was to emulate the look of AI as a part of a larger dystopian narrative. I mean, the world probably would have fallen apart if the music video was delayed by a couple of weeks without any explanation, but I much would have preferred it to be made by real artists to drive the themes about liberation home. I don't want to be liberated in the backdrop of uncredited and unpaid work of artists who have had their work stolen. This is the break in immersion for me. It's very similar to the demeanor of Blackpink that we've always known them as. Defiant and in your face, unwilling to follow the rules or apologize to anyone, but beyond the stage and the music, the members are still very much willing participants in the society around them. They feel an obligation to be. Jennie mentioned in an interview ahead of her solo album that she still feels very much tethered to people's expectations of her as an idol, the things that subtract from her as a human being, and there's still an interest in honoring those expectations as she continues to fulfill her roles as an idol. It is antithetical to what Blackpink is. Blackpink has always been more of a virtue provided to the masses rather than a lived reality for the people who perform it. This is easy enough to pick up on, but hard to reconcile with in a broader sense as we continue down such a divisive path socially. Jump is about breaking from the confines in the world around you, jumping in defiance with others, yet the backdrop of all of this is the most textbook definition of borderline malicious conformity. So really, what are we doing here? I'm still jumping, cowboy hat still on, but arms are folded, eyebrow raised. I don't like a lot of things that are going on at this neon-lit rodeo in Germany. No matter how much the atmosphere is just tugging at me to let everything go, I can't let everything go, which is part of a larger problem. K-pop has not been a form of escapism for such a long time, and it is exhausting. That is what I have to say. Jump has a great delivery and composition, though its message is defiled by the music video. A perfect example, in many ways, the current state of what it feels like to be a part of the K-pop community in 2025. The world around us is desolate, K-pop is devoid of the color and life we once used to know, but somehow, the party is still going. I don't know what to feel about all of it, but I do like Jump as a song. These are my thoughts on first impressions. Thank you for watching this. If you did, let me know what you think. How do you feel about and understand Jump as a song? Yeah, thanks again for watching. Subscribe if you want to, and I will see you next time.